And good morning, everybody on the West Coast. And it's a little after 1 o'clock here on the East Coast. We're welcoming you back into another edition of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. I'm your host, Magic Man, Sean Grice. And with me is the number one Lakers blogger on the internet, according to all the data out there, Mr. LakerTom. And LakerTom, thank you for joining Lakers Fast Break on this Lakerholics Spotlight. And how you doing this morning, Tom?
I'm doing great, Sean. It's I tell you, after 7 quarters of basketball that was frustratingly disappointing, thank God we got that eighth quarter in there, man, because that last quarter really has made this weekend much more enjoyable than it would have been had we played the eighth quarter the way we played the first seven.
Oh my goodness, aren't you ever correct on that one, Tom?
So at any rate, thanks to LeBron's closing and Christian Wood's great defense and AD's great play in the fourth quarter. I'm having a good weekend. I'm having a good weekend, man. I'm looking forward to a great weekend.
Now, before we get into the nuts and bolts, Tom, I just wanted to ask you a question. Are you comfortable with the idea that LeBron's going to play a whole quarter? Maybe
I think so.
Occasionally, not frequently, but occasionally. Do you feel okay about that?
You got 29 other teams, right?
That's right.
And there's probably five or six teams at most that are really critical that you want to show that you can match up against.
Yes.
And so what's that? 1 out of 6? I think that he can play 35 minutes in those types of games.
Okay.
In those 5 or 6 against those 5 or 6 opponents. But I'm 100% in favor of the load management of LeBron. I think it's stupid not to do it. I think he's even willing to agree to it, and it's probably grits his teeth when he says it. But it needs to be done, and it'll pay off by having a healthier LeBron or more rested LeBron when we get into the playoffs. You've got to do that. And to a certain extent, I think you have to do it with your entire team because it's a long slog for 82 games, man. And depth, one of the benefits of depth is the ability to do that. So I'm comfortable with that. I'm comfortable with it. I didn't have any problem with it. I thought that Ham shouldn't have probably taken LeBron out in the first game for the simple reason it's one of those 5 or 6 teams. No other reason, he just got a little over enthusiastic, but I think that, he's a smart guy. He knows when he makes mistakes. And generally I haven't seen him make the same mistake twice, maybe except for the 3-guard lineups.
And as we welcome in the man, the myth, the legend himself, Yummy Swoot. Jamie, how you doing this morning? And do you have anything to add onto what LakerTom had to say? What are your feelings about the Lakers after 2 games, and how's your comfort level with LeBron playing a whole fourth quarter?
Oh yeah, man, it's real groovy. It's good. It's a cool vibe. Listen, it's early in the season.
We're gonna get spoken word from Jamie in 5 minutes.
It's early in the season, man. You know how it goes, and it's still like extended training camp for the Lakers. I think we're gonna see them mess lineups and stuff like that for another 6-7 games, especially with Vando being out for a couple weeks, which I'm sure we'll get to in a bit. I don't know if everybody saw that there's an official release of medical information as to what was going on, which is left heel bursitis. And Sean, I'll let you inform the wonderful viewers at home what exactly that means. And so, I wasn't too. Listen, another 2-10 start this season would have been disastrous, or something akin to that, right? Another start like we had last season, where they're searching for identity, desperate for wins, grasping onto rotations that are, workable in an NBA game. That's an untenable situation this season. Not after all the hype of the offseason, all the wonderful play to close last season out. That all just gets flushed right down the toilet, right? The other thing was the Lakers didn't have a great home record last year. It was not a great home record. was good. Good.
We barely just got up to 500 around the end of March.
It took almost to the last game of the season. I think we ended up one game over 500.
We were 21-20. Very good. Big brain on Jamie.
And we laid an egg for 7 straight quarters.
Mm-hmm.
But this is why I don't have a problem with it, right? Because these are the moments where there's a reason he's the highest paid player on the team, or second highest paid player, or whatever the difference is there. But like, and I understand there's a goal, but you know, I think there were more factors than just the load management. One, Ham smartly waited. He saved his timeouts, didn't challenge some plays that maybe could have been challenged in the third quarter, which I in hindsight was genius, right? That meant he had a lot of wiggle room in terms of managing the time itself in the game. And then they had 2 days off. They had yesterday and today off before they play again on Sunday. So plenty of time for
great points, Jamie.
Plenty of time for him to go back in the hyperbaric, refreeze himself in carbonite, whatever he does in between games to get himself ready. That's all I got. So I was fine.
All right.
I was fine.
Appreciate it. Appreciate the intro. So, gentlemen, on the Lakers Spotlight tonight, we're going to be discussing some patterns we've seen in the first 2 games. It's only 2 games, but I wanted to inform LakerTom there's been a slight improvement between last year and this year on our 3-point shooting.
I mean,
believe it or not. Believe
terrible,
it or not.
Slightly better than terrible.
Please believe it or not.
Yeah, right.
So
here's the whole issue with that.
So hold on, Tom.
Okay.
I just wanted to say, through the first 2 games where we lost to the Warriors and the Clippers, the Lakers shot 19 of 85 from beyond 3-point land. Terrible efficiency, god awful. You don't need a calculator to know that's god awful. So this year, Tom, through 2 games, they're 15 of 58, which is around 26%. So you're not exactly drowning, but your head isn't above water yet either. So there's a struggle still. And Tom, one of the big struggles is that we're not making our open shots again. And it's been a bleed out issue from last year that unfortunately has come into this year. And Tom, the only guy I see consistently who's aggressive on those catch and shoots is Taurean Prince. I wanted to get your thoughts on the small incremental improvement on the 3-point shooting and how it can get better.
Well, you touched on a lot of things that are kind of interesting. And have been sort of at the top of my list of things that I've been ruminating about. I'll take Taurean Prince first. He had a horrible game. 0 points, 0 anything. And what's really fascinating about it, well, he looked so good in the first couple of games, or in the first 7 quarters, we really struggled a little bit with him with that traditional lineup. And a lot of it is because of size. And the thing that to remember about the Lakers is we improved our 3-point shooting, and the goal was just not to have such a huge differential negative every game where we're down 20 points or 18 or 15 points of 3-point shooting. And what we did to make up for that is we've attacked the rim and have gotten to the free throw line. And so our formula, our blueprint for success is still, the identity of this team is still winning the points in the paint and the made free throw battles. And what we did in the fourth quarter and what we did in that game was to dominate those. We had 29-point differential in our favor and made free throws and points in the paint. And what really highlighted all of that is size, positional size that you get from playing Christian Wood. That was the big thing. That's the whole difference, is that everything is fighting against. I understand that nobody wants LeBron to play the 3 and have to chase guys around screens and so forth. There's an easy answer to that. It's simply switch everything. It makes a lot more sense to switch everything, especially with our drop coverage, because we keep letting guys get in get into the lane because they use the screen. They get into the lane. They get their defender on their hip. They put them in jail, and they got an easy floater because they got a guy in a dunker spot, and our guy's not going to come out from underneath the rim. And we keep getting killed with those easy shots in there. You don't want LeBron to chase guys around screens. Just switch everything for the few minutes of the game that you're going to have that problem, but get that size so that LeBron is always playing against this guy who's smaller than him. Not a guy who's a power forward, but a guy who's really small. And you've got positional size all through the front court. I think what we're also going to see is Cam Reddish, I thought, played really well too. And when Vanderbilt gets back, he's only going to have a spot backing up the shooting guard. And I think we're going to see a lot of size going into the front. I think our whole defensive philosophy is going to be size and length all the way through the lineup. And we're going to see a lot of the emphasis going. And that's so that we are going to play the same way. We'll have better shooting because that'll come. It's just a small sample size. The better shooting will come. But we still got to use that huge size advantage that we get with Wood and spreading everybody out with the 5-out offense. And all of a sudden, you got LeBron and AD having a lot more spacing when they're playing with Christian Wood. The only thing I guess, and Jamie brought it up, is that, it'd be nice if Wood wasn't so good for the Lakers that we could somehow talk him into taking the MLE next year and keep him rather than losing him, because we have no way of outbidding anybody for the guy. But you take advantage of what you got, and to Wood's credit, he played excellent defense. His problem has always been a lack of attention span, and an inability to focus and stay laser focused on the job. It's not, he can move his feet and stay in front of people. And he's got that ability to do that. Same as Reddish. Both of them, it's just that when they're off the ball, man, they just cannot keep in the right position and with the right state of attention, so that they just don't seem to have that anticipation that some players have, where I know exactly what's going to happen next, so I know exactly what I'm going to do. Instead, they react, and their reaction time obviously is not great, because that's what their defensive lapses have been due from. But Vanderbilt's, that's tough that he's got that injury, but yet that's giving an opportunity for lots of guys. He could be this year's version of Lonnie Walker, who loses a lot of opportunity, but hopefully he can come back like Lonnie did, and when he gets it, he'll get his moments. That's one thing in a long season. If you're a pro and you pay attention and you work on your craft and so forth, and you're ready to go, you'll get your time. In 82 games, man, everybody gets their shot.
Everybody does, Tom. Jamie, do you have anything to add? Carry on, my wayward son.
Yeah, man, it's just one game. First of all, really just a quarter, if you think about it, when it came to Christian Wood on defense. My thoughts there were, let's be honest about that situation. He was guarding KD, who's 35 years old, multiple leg injuries over multiple seasons the last 4 years. He was never quick. He was never a lightning fast player to begin with. So for the Lakers, that's actually a fine matchup, right? Swap Grayson Allen out with Devin Booker. Swap Goodington out with Bradley Beal. And that's just not going to work. I don't care if you switch everything. They're going to blow by Christian Wood. They will switch on.
Christian Wood's not going to be guarding one of them. Then you put Vanderbilt in the lineup, and you probably have Gabe Vincent in the lineup instead of Debo.
So I'm just saying that that worked for that matchup in that game. And I don't see that as a blueprint going forward for every single game. I think there's some teams that'll work against, but LeBron was defending Grayson Allen. Come on. Let's put everything into proper focus here.
And let it not be.
That's what I like about it. I like that. Listen, they found a great go-to when the game mattered. They found the right matchup to exploit when the game mattered, and they won the game. That's good coaching. That's good execution by the players. Everybody did their job, and that is to be commended. Does that mean we should roll out the patent, send it into the office, and No, this is not.
No, but you better go. You better look to figure out how to take advantage of what you just saw work.
That's
Our defense. We haven't seen a quarter where we held somebody to 11 points, including the team with KD.
not in 2 whole games. You're right,
Not in 2 whole games. Not in a long time, man. Here's the thing: what's happening in the league when you look at Wembanyama and you look at all of the size and length that's happening. What we saw with the Lakers having Christian Wood and Anthony Davis both being able to defend on the perimeter as well as, be good defenders overall. You saw what's happening around the league with this extreme length and height that's moving into the league and all of these young players coming around.
Yeah, but I also know what I saw last season with the way that we played defense, which was after the trading deadline, the 5th best defense in the league in terms of defense. So
I think we can be a great defensive team.
Place and time for all of these matchups, right? There's a reason they got the players that they got. And like we've said both on the blog and here today, Reddish and Wood have done a better job. I'm not saying they've done a great job. They've done a better job on defense than anybody thought they would, and that's to be commended, right? They're playing on vet minimum contracts when they should be playing for MLEs at the least.
Yep.
So there's reasons for all of this, right? None of this is just like, oh, how did we get here for anybody? So
no, but there's also reasons why we should expect them to continue to play the way that they've shown that they played the last couple of games.
Our defense needs to get better, Tom. No question about it. Through 8 quarters, we've given up 41 fouls. We're foul prone.
We give up 30
defensive rating in the 4th quarter of last night of the game.
It was good. It was good. It was
40.7.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good.
The net rating is 67. Those are unheard of numbers.
My devil's advocate is that I think as much as our defense, KD going for that 13th spot or whatever it was on the all-time scoring list, worked against Phoenix. They went KD specific in the 4th quarter. He took over twice as many shots as the next 2 players combined. So look,
that's what they have to do when
I don't
have any other options at that point in time.
Win is a win is a win is a win. I'm not trying to take away from any, but
no, and it is only one. It was only 12 minutes.
I know.
Maybe everybody understands it's 12 minutes.
But
have fun with the 12 minutes, man. I mean, Jesus Christ, you couldn't have played any better than they played in those 12 minutes.
Turning it into a blueprint for the future. This was a good 12 minutes of basketball. They made the right adjustment, and Phoenix didn't. Rookie coach made the wrong adjustment. Didn't rein in a star player. There's a lot of things that you could say went wrong for Phoenix, just as well as you could say a lot of things went right for the Lakers, which is why we won the game.
Jamie, you brought up an interesting.
We won it because of size
hold
and
on,
people.
Hold on, Tom. Jamie, you brought up an interesting point there. Do you think Frank Vogel is going to have a problem trying to communicate to Kevin Durant that maybe he shouldn't take shots that he's taking? Because I gotta be honest with you, I would be very hesitant if I was Frank Vogel on how I leaned into that.
No, I think we saw how Vogel handles superstars when he was here with the Lakers. He's going to he is a defensive coach, and you saw that in the first 3 quarters when they were playing great defense on us. They had a plan to keep AD out of the paint for the most part. They used solid rotations to disrupt what we were trying to do. And then in the 4th quarter, Kevin Durant ran out of gas. He had terrible efficiency in the 4th quarter. They weren't driving the ball. They were just settling for jump shots, so they didn't get to the line. And that's a Frank Vogel offense to a T. No plan. no scheme to get somebody shots. It was, hey, superstar, you go, girl. You take that ball and you do what you do. You're the superstar. That's the Frank Vogel offense, and it's why it's incredibly frustrating as a human being and a fan of basketball, because it doesn't. But he won't. To your point, he will not sit KD down and be like, "You think you took too many shots in that 4th quarter?" Because he doesn't have a better plan.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't.
So that's to be expected. And when I say rookie coach, I don't. Obviously, Frank Vogel is not.
You mean his first season as a Suns coach? Everyone knows what you mean, Jamie.
Yeah.
You don't gotta ever explain yourself.
So that the comment section didn't.
Yeah.
rope me
Sure.
over and act out a scene from Deliverance. So,
well, and again, so we'll bring up the Vanderbilt issue. So
Sure.
we now know that, as Jamie and Tom both brought up great points about the defense. So Vando's out for 2 weeks with bursitis. Bursitis, not an uncommon injury among basketball players, tennis players, polo players. With arm flexion and extension, it's just natural that at some point there's going to be issues. So gentlemen, are you familiar with the term ball and socket joint?
Mm-hmm.
Elbow's a ball and socket joint. So is the hip. So is the wrist.
So is the shoulder.
So is the shoulder. So you could get bursitis in just about any place you have a joint. So I think the concern is
not if it's aluminum.
Fair enough, Tom. But I think a little concern here is not a big concern, but a little concern is it looks like rest hasn't helped the situation.
Yeah.
So obviously he needs another 2 weeks to be reevaluated. It could be a funny thing, everybody's the same. We've talked about this before. Everybody has a different makeup, a different recovery time, different ways to approach an injury. I'm just hoping he comes back and he's 100% when he steps on the floor, because Jamie and Tom both brought up a great point in different ways. Vando has a ripple effect on the defense. That's his significance. And it's very important because that ripple effect affects how teams play the Lakers defensively. Vando is able to cover a lot of ground very quickly. You need that. You need that in a war. You need a tank that can commit to a large plot of land and be able to be on its own. He can do that. Without him, as Tom said, you have to kind of rely on Cam Reddish. Now, Reddish showed some very good defensive chops in a few sequences in both games, Tom. And it's going to be interesting seeing him coming back because I think if those two guys are on the floor together, Tom, I'm concerned about the shooting. So that may require LeBron to play more point guard if it requires Vando and Reddish to be on the floor together. I was wondering, what are your thoughts on the Vando injury, and do you feel the same as I do, that if you're going to play these two long, lanky gentlemen who are pretty apt defenders but not very good shooters, you may need LeBron to play more point?
I think you hit the nail. Actually, there's two nails that you're hitting on the head in that little speech there, Sean, because I do think that there is a desire by LeBron, as we heard him express, on the sidelines during Game 1. There's a desire by him to play point more, to have the ball in his hands. I think, which is contrary to the Lakers' desire to take the ball out of his hands. And then on Vanderbilt, I think one of the strategic decisions that the Lakers have to do, and I think it's in line with the new contract that they gave Vanderbilt, their strategy of waiting so that he would be untradeable this season, before signing him on an extension. Their investment in him, basically as a defensive stopper, I think is really important. So they need a major role for him. Now, I think this injury now has made any possibility of him being the starter out of the question at this point in time, because that's not going to happen. Not the only way that's going to happen is if whoever they decide is the starter totally falls on their face during the 2 weeks or however long Vando is out. But they need to find a major role for Vando, and that major role is going to probably, I think, solve the problem of having him ever show up on the court with Reddish, because I think they're both competing for that backup spot that never was given to Christie, like people talked about in the beginning, just because come on, the kid is a 20-year-old kid. You just can't put him in such an important role as backing up Austin Reaves. So I think it's going to be between Reddish and Bando to back up Reaves at the 2. And then the next question that you have to look at is the way the dominoes fall of how everybody plays, and one of the things of having too many players, more capable rotation players than you have slots in a rotation, is that you have trade assets that you can trade at the deadline, and the Lakers probably at this point in time feel like they need 2 things. They need somebody that at the end of a game, doesn't have to be a superstar, but they need somebody at the end of the game they can count on, a Buddy Hield or or Bogdanovich, or somebody they can give the ball to get a really high percentage shot one-on-one at the end of the game, because that's not LeBron or AD. Truthfully, we can good coaching can set in situations, can set them up, but they're not like a Kevin Durant or a Booker that you give the ball to and you get out of the way. And I'm not even an advocate of that type of player at the end of the game, but you need that. You need it, whether it's a DeMar DeRozan or whatever. You need somebody like that. And then secondly, we need somebody like Caruso who can shut down, those real tough scorers and put on him without sacrificing everything like you do with Vando. So hopefully Vando, you're still building toward that, and he can be that Caruso down the road for us. I think he's really important. I think you have to somehow build your rotation to create a critical role for him, so you can get him 20 minutes per game, get his defense 20 minutes per game. You can't let him be marginalized down to 8 minutes per game, 8 to 12 minutes per game with that kind of defense, where you pull him out every 3rd or 4th game because you're up against a Damian Lillard or a Steph Curry or whatever. I think he's a critical part of the future of the team, and you need to he has to be part of that 10-man rotation, probably as the backup shooting guard.
All right, Jamie, your thoughts on this discussion, and do you have your own thoughts, or do you have anything to add to what Tom was saying?
I've got plenty of thoughts. Sean.
Let's go.
I think he'll displace Taurean Prince from the starting lineup when he comes back. I don't think it's a big mystery. I don't think it's a big question mark for the team. I know Taurean Prince shot the ball game 1, then he turned it and shot the ball awfully in game 2. That's because of how the Lakers team philosophy begins. That is not surprising to me. We are not the Warriors. We are not the Trailblazers. We are not one of those teams that has lightning in a bottle shooting. And so we do everything possible with our coaching and with our team building to unlock that shooter, to make that shooter the most empowered shooter they can be. That has never been, ever, even when Mike D'Antoni was here, much to his chagrin.
You didn't have the shooters.
This has never been the Lakers' way, right? They want to have a dominant inside force.
Are you saying that the Lakers' curse is self-inflicted, Jamie?
I just think it's part of their philosophy. They're.
It is in a sense that you're absolutely right.
You go back in time, and the great Laker players, other than Magic and Kobe, are big. They're
muted, Sean.
Big guys. They're Kareem. They're Wilt, Worthy, even big guy. On down the line, Shaq, Gasol, LeBron, and AD. Yet all of it is built around bigger, punishing players that punish you with body blows inside, score inside, win by playing. It's no longer back to the basket.
In a guard-dominated, guard-driven, wing-driven league.
They don't care.
Sean, we can't hear you.
They don't care.
Yeah, you could go down the Lakers skid row of great shooters. Terry Teagle, Jason Capono, Mike Brown told us Troy Murphy was a
Right.
dead-eye shooter, and he was when he played for Golden State, just not when he played for the Lakers.
But it's because it's not. But I don't blame. I mean, part of it might be a quote unquote Laker curse, but it also comes down to how we build and coach and execute the team.
Yeah.
There's one exception. There's always an exception to the rule, and that one exception is Glenn Rice. Glenn was the only exception, and he was only here for a year. To be fair.
And he underperformed based on his career averages. Go back and look at his Laker year, and it's one of the worst years he ever had. It's one of the worst years he ever had because he had to share the ball so much. He was used to being some kind of, I guess, whatever. So my point,
Austin Reaves right now is suffering from that same problem because
I think he's suffering from a lot of internal pressure he's putting on himself, to be honest. And I think Hachimura is doing the same thing. And they got to run plays for Hachimura. They let Hachimura just kind of drift around. This is the thing, right? We're not focused on getting guys shots. There's never been a Laker coach.
We're focusing on finding out. We're focused on giving 12 different players an opportunity to play.
Right. It's a very equal opportunity offense, which is great when it comes to empowering guys who need to be empowered. But when they're guys who you've paid a lot of money to, guys who you expect to step up when you need them to, you can't just put them on an island with some wood and say, well, go ahead and build yourself a yacht. It just doesn't work like that. It does not work like that. So this is a little bit of a problem with the organization, a little bit of a problem with the coach. And yes, it's a problem with some of the players simply not making shots.
Well, there's a gravity. There's also a gravity that the superstars have. They attract the ball, man, because Reaves has got the ball and LeBron is standing wide open there and AD is standing wide open there. What do you think Austin is supposed to do? He's supposed to pass that ball to one of those two guys.
Because LeBron and AD have such gravity, the defensive schemes will always be to deny LeBron. Right. They will happily let shoot.
But you got to have the points. You've got to have the points from those guys. Which means that the other three guys have got to prove they can make shots.
Everybody's going to make open shots. And what did Sean say at the beginning of the podcast? We're having a problem making our open shots.
Yep. That's game to game. You can't. That's the problem with Mike D'Antoni's whole theory of winning. You cannot count on always making your shot.
But the point being is, my point is that what is consistent is the defense, and that's why after the trade deadline last season, when we had Vando in the starting lineup with AD, and it kind of didn't matter what the rest of the personnel was, right? D'Lo, Reaves, LeBron.
You could be right. You could be right, but for some reason, I don't see.
It's because you're in love with the 3-point shot, Tom. That's why. It's not.
Well, no, I'm not in love with the 3-point shot. I think that the league has changed. The nature of the game has changed because of the 3-point shot. And the Lakers basically have been probably the last of the major teams to
maybe the Knicks to
recognize that, and to not only recognize it but also to include it in their whole recruiting and roster building process, as well as their type of offense that they're running. We'll get a lot more 3-point attempts this year than we have in the past, and we'll make more of them. But that is not going to take us away from the simple fact that we know our offense is dedicated to having a positional size advantage and winning the wars of the points in the paint and the made free throws. That's our bread and butter. We're not going to throw that away. But I'm tired of the Lakers and the so-called Lakers curse, or our self-inflicted Lakers curse, preventing us from at least ameliorating and reducing the damage that we suffer every game with our negative 3-point shooting differential.
Yeah,
I mean, you cannot beat that 3-point shooting differential with just defense. You have to shoot and make threes.
You have to, Tom. You have to. That's just the game today. It's it's the way the cookie is crumbled.
Just got to level that playing field, and then the other part of our game will win.
So in saying that, go ahead, Jamie. You were going to add something.
Well, but this is the point. So if you know that there's a philosophical, I don't want to say like antipathy, but like indifference to the 3-point revolution, right? However you want to phrase that. And if you
there has been in the past, I don't think there is any more on the Lakers.
Well, but go do yourself a favor. Go back and watch every media day since Kobe retired. Every media day, everybody says all these wonderful things about shooting, about 3-pointers, about how we're embracing the modern game. And then they go out and
not every Laker coach has been along. Frank Vogel was fine, but before Frank Vogel,
go back and watch media.
The whole approach to 3-point shooting was,
nope,
we don't do it.
Not on
it's
media
our
day.
Game. That's old school. We're old school.
No, I'm telling you, dude. I've watched these media, and sometimes I save them for a while to go back and be like, "What the hell?
Hey, listen. All you have to do is look at the stats of how many threes you take a game. That tells you what the Lakers' attitude toward 3-point shooting has been in the past up until this year.
But what I'm saying is this:
the numbers speak for themselves.
Off with a bunch of lip service and glad handing about how we've embraced the modern game, and then every season basically turns out the same. We're at best middle of the pack, and more likely we're in the bottom third.
No, more likely we're in the bottom fourth.
But this is the point.
Our goal is to get into the middle of the pack.
So I for one never buy into the lip service and the glad at the beginning of the season. Not ever. I'm like,
well, we know that, Jamie,
because it's all
you're our bellwether in that sense.
It's not even bellwether. It's just empirical evidence at this point. Like, oh yeah, the coach and Rob's going to come out and be like, we got some really great shooters in the offseason. We're really trying to improve the shooting.
Well, I sure wouldn't bet my money on the Lakers leading the league in 3-point shooting.
The other thing they're going to say, depending on what superstar it is, they either want to take the ball out of Kobe's hands more or LeBron's hands more, because that's a great plan. Listen, all these things are people are like, well, LeBron's going to have less of a role. He's going to take fewer 3-point shots. LeBron is, I think, leading the team in 3-point field goal attempts as we speak. Probably is shooting about 28%, if I remember right. These guys play the way they play. There's no ticket. LeBron says all the same things in the offseason. Yeah, I'd like to trust in my teammates more. We got great depth. And then when they get in between the lines, he's on the sideline telling the coach, you know, I can play point guard. You can give me the ball. I will do everything. Like, that's just how he plays. It has nothing to do with how he thinks. It has nothing to do with the things people say off the court in front of a camera. It's just the way it is. Kobe was the same way. Bird was the same way. Jordan was the same way. LeBron is the same way. The greats are great, and the team should support them in their greatness. So load management, wonderful idea. I'm not going to be surprised when LeBron's minutes are actually closer to 33, 34 per game for the season. Might be a career low as a Laker. Will not be in the 28 to 30 minute range like they're talking about on TV.
28 to 32 is what they said.
Jamie, why are you so determined in your
I'm not determined. It's just what's going to happen.
Well, it's kind of a confirmation bias, don't you think? I mean,
sure. I mean, if you want it to be, I don't.
But why though? That's the interesting question. Just because, like, it's a similar case with Kobe, right? Like, there were times when the Lakers medical staff and we heard whispers from we're going to reduce Kobe's
wear and tear.
And you can't tell somebody who's played for 20 years what they can and can't do. Correct?
You can't tell grandpa not to drink a scotch at lunch. Like, grandpa's drinking a scotch at lunch. If that's confirmation bias because I know it's coming, okay, I guess it's confirmation bias. But I know grandpa's having that scotch. I know he's going to have
the difference here is that the Lakers today,
that would be
Lakers today have enough depth that they can really give LeBron rest.
Do they really?
I think they do. I think they do. They believe they do. They're going to try it. Let's put it.
I need a whistle.
That's why they're going to try it.
I need a whistle right now. Anyway, I think that's Jamie. I think that's a combination of confirmation bias in between Nostradamus, because
it's a Nostradamus 100%, Sean.
Oh, all right. I need a little.
Jamie learned a long time ago that if you bet on what's happened before, you're likely to win.
You get the Elvis grin too.
Oh, very nice, Jamie. Very nice. So,
no, I mean, listen. This is, and look, I mean, go back and watch Kobe's final season if you want to see what true confirmation. There's a guy on.
No, that is confirmation bias.
One leg, one shoulder, broken hands, shooting 25 shots a game. Like that.
That's the same kid that threw up 3 air balls in the final.
Right. Tell me that
without a bit of conscience.
Tell me he's thinking about what the general manager said during press day. Tell me tell me that he listened to what the coach said post game about reducing wear and tear. They don't care.
Showed how little he learned through the years.
It's not even about learning. It's about competitive.
He was the same guy at the end as he was at the beginning.
It's about this beast, and like it creates a fire, and that is what makes them great. It drives them.
Right. It's
not about what they actually even want. I don't think
it drives them, but it also is the same thing that probably killed about a half a dozen of this equally talented young men.
Is this not the crux?
It's a death wish type of.
Is this not the crux of
drive and motivation?
In order to be great, you have to deny yourself pleasure. You have to deny
of 100 people born with Mamba mentality, the odds of you being the one that survives is.
And the two biggest factors in that play, Jamie, are detachment and sacrifice.
100%.
You can't care what anybody else has to say, and you got to be willing to pay the price.
Yep, and that
eliminates almost everybody else from falling into those categories.
Pretty much, Tom.
And that's the single greatest reason Anthony Davis will never be like either one of those guys.
Yeah,
he's got the detachment, but he doesn't have that sacrifice.
No, I agree. I agree, Jamie. That's the missing ingredient in the.
The only thing I would say in AD's defense is he's still only 30 years old.
What?
So a lot of our greatest players, never really developed that final drive until their later years.
I don't know about that one, but I mean, listen. In AD's defense, I'll say this: he is like that on defense. He's like that on defense. He just will never be. He'll just never be the guy that you just give. He won't be Jokic. You give the ball to Jokic anywhere on the floor, he's going to make his team better.
Well, he's not the playmaker. He doesn't have the playmaking chops that Jokic has,
or the shooting chops, right? Or the scoring chops in general. He can score. I'm not trying to say that he can't score. It's just that his focus and his sacrifice comes on one end of the floor a lot more than it does on the other, and that for the Lakers will be a problem going forward as long as LeBron and he are on the team, and you're expecting a 40-year-old to carry the offensive load, right? This is how this team is built. And nobody wants to say it. Nobody wants to put it in those terms. But there's a 30-year-old who wants to play defense more than anything else. And there's a 40-year-old who's asking to be the point guard.
Right.
On a team that has, quote unquote, from everybody who ever said
you're right there. You're right there. Answers the question. The nature of their personalities makes it very.
Everybody to a person talked about all the great new Laker depth, how we built the chemistry, all these things, and I listened to all of it, and I was like, "We'll see." 2 games in, we have seen.
Sometimes, Jamie, good things do. Sometimes things change, man.
I hope so.
For the worse or for the better, they change. It's not always the same goddamn thing over and over.
I'll tell you when I think they're going to change. I think they're going to change.
I mean, why are we even here? If everybody believed in your theories, there's no reason for this podcast.
Oh, there's no reason. They're not theories.
What's going to happen is what we've seen.
Truth.
So as we segue into the next topic, Tom, there's been some conversation in our comments section, and I've noticed it a little throughout Lakers social media as well. Some whispers and some maybe tapping on the shoulder of Darvin Ham that maybe you should start Christian Wood. Now, I don't think we should complicate things with the starting lineup right now, given the nature of Vando's situation. But in the future, it's quite possible Wood gets inserted in the starting lineup. Why are you so adamant about it, Tom? And how do you think it would portend in the future if he did start at center?
I think the whole issue of Christian Wood starting has been something that's always been in the back of the Lakers' minds since they signed him and since Anthony Davis restated his desire to play more power forward. And it's funny. It's really not even a question of positions. It's just a question of whether you're going to pair him with another big who can stretch the floor, which is Christian Wood. I don't think that they're going to make any immediate changes. I think that they're going to stick with what they're doing. But it wouldn't surprise me if they all of a sudden did make a switcheroo, because I think in the end, what's become fairly obvious to the Lakers over the first 2 games, and it is just 2 games, But what's become fairly obvious is that their ability to dominate points in the paint and dominate made free throws is dramatically enhanced by Christian Wood in the lineup. They're a team that's built for two, and if it were not for concern over LeBron James having to play defense at the three, that there would be almost no reason not to move to a double big lineup. Most of their major competitors are going to be playing double bigs. So there are other lineups where maybe they might be better to match up with a more traditional lineup with a traditional three rather than going super big. But I think in the end, what it comes down to is your identity. Your identity as a team, which is pretty well established, is a defense first orientation and a focus on scoring points in the paint and made free throws to compensate for having to rely upon 3-point shooting every night. And I think that's a smart philosophy to do. And it's something that with all of the size that's coming into the league, the size and length that's coming into the league, I think is going to become more and more important. You got 5 guys out there who are big and tall and rangy. You are going to get beaten on drives to the hoop. But when you drive to the hoop, you're going to be looking at 2 or 3 other guys who are long and lanky who can block your shots. And I think that's the philosophy that the Lakers have gone. That's why they let Dennis Schroeder walk. That's why they wanted Christian Wood and feel that he'll slot in there well. Now, there's a lot of time. We got to see what happens with Austin Reaves. I expect Reaves to come back and all of a sudden reclaim a lot of minutes and touches in this game. And there's still going to be a lot of opportunity with Vando out for a couple of weeks. And if Wood continues to play as well as he's played and Reddish continue to play as well as they've played, it's going to be harder for them to justify moving Vando in. Now, having said that, I said earlier that I think it's really important that Vando has a major role in this lineup, in this rotation, because of his defense. I want to see his defense on the court 20 minutes a game. So they've got to find a way to make all of this work. And I think it's pretty fluid right now. I think that one of the reasons why we're seeing a lot of people playing is because Ham knows he's got too many players than he can play regularly. So he needs to find out who can deliver and who can't deliver. And if it means that the first 2 weeks of the season are an extension of training camp in a sense, as long as we can hold our own and win 2 out of 3 games during that period of time, I think we're fine. So I don't suspect listen, there's a difference between LakerTom as a fan and LakerTom when he was a coach. As a coach, I wouldn't even think about making a change at this point in time. I think that's stupid. Okay. As a fan, change it tomorrow, man. Why wait? Forget it. There's also the fact that I'm an old man. I don't want to wait around here another 5 years for the Lakers to win. I want them to win. Every year that goes by is another chance for me to put another ribbon on my sports reputation. I want to see a triple crown this year where the Lakers and the Yankees and the 49ers all win their championships. But this is we're in 2 games in this last 4. I mean, imagine what we'd be talking about today if the 8th quarter we played was like the first 7.
Tom, I can assure you on the post game show, we would definitely have received at least 50% of the comment section with just three words and about 7 or 8 exclamation points.
Yep.
It was. I was listening this morning to talk radio, and they were talking about. Amin was talking about how the Lakers were in a sense of panic. Going into that 4th quarter, you could almost see Darwin Ham thinking there, Jesus, what is this post game conference is going to be hell if we can't do something here, And so what he did, man, is he pulled out 2 of his starters. He pulled out Austin Reaves and he pulled out Dorian Prince, who had that game, and he put in 2 guys that I had suggested at the start of the year might be the starters, which was Christian Wood because of his size.
You know what? I have to add something here, and we didn't get a chance to discuss it, but we're going to discuss it now. For all the fanfare he got in the summer, and then we saw what happened in FIBA. He got it back with criticism, and I think it's become a little too incessant. Like it's too much at this point. This is the kid's third year, and I'm referring to Austin Reaves. Not only is it his third year, ladies and gentlemen, Darvin Ham entrusted Austin Reaves on the floor to play out the game with 2 minutes left with 5 fouls. He entrusted the young man with that. So as much as he's being a little, I think he's being taken down a peg or two unfairly right now, Jamie. We saw him get picked on last year. It's just no one really noticed him getting picked on because we were trying to get our heads above water. So it wasn't the initial or secondary or tertiary issue. But we've seen this before. I think what happened was FIBA just put a spotlight on his individuality of his defense. And you know what? FIBA has different rules too. Like let's be perfectly honest and frank about that as well.
Yep. 100%.
Larger floor, more space, easier to draw Austin Reaves and Jalen Brunson out. That being said, Jamie, I think Austin's in his own head again. And I think Tom was right about that. He's a good kid. He fights. He's a fighter. I just think he's got to calm down mentally, Jamie, and just he's got decent length defensively. That will always help you. I just think he needs to just take a breath.
Right.
I'm not sure about you.
I think the refs are not giving him as good.
I think somebody needs to take him to like a meditation seminar, or like learn to calm yourself down, bro.
I think it's a couple of things. One, I think your FIBA point is astute. Like that's very true. Different rules. It was, he was surrounded on a team of absolute superstars or budding superstars. Now he's playing with guys who are absolutely not superstars. There's going to be more focus on him. He was the, whether it was deserved or not, or whatever the reasons are, mainly because he's a Laker. And let's be honest. If Austin Reaves was a Charlotte Hornet and had played in FIBA the way he did, would he have gotten all the media coverage he got? Absolutely not. So part of it's that he's a Laker, right? He just released his signature shoe. He just signed a big deal. He's an undrafted player. All of these things are weight. This is all weight. And so, yes, I think he needs to shed some mental weight. I think he needs to just play his game. He is going to be abused in post-ups. We saw that last season. We saw that in FIBA. We'll see it this season. He is not a great post-up defender. That is how you take Austin Reaves' talent away from him. You put your body into him and make him body you up. That's on the coaches to help him with as much as himself. Now, the thing that I think, the funniest thing I heard or read, or I can't remember, was Chandler Parsons saying, "Oh, I think Reaves tops out at a 15, 5, and 5 guy." To which my response is,
better than that.
What did you ever do, Chandler Parsons? You're an empty calorie scorer on bad teams. Good job. Way to go. Hey, nice podcast, by the way, guy. Like, come on.
You put anybody on a pedestal, and there's a whole crowd of people that are going to throw stones at the pedestal.
That's fine. Like that's being on the Lakers, right? I mean, people threw stones at Kurt Rambis.
Well, he deserves it.
I guess whatever.
He deserves it now.
You get special attention as a Laker, and that is a two-edged sword that cuts both ways. You're going to get more criticism, and you're going to get more flowers, and you probably don't deserve both. On either, I'm not saying like one or the other. I'm saying you don't deserve that much praise, and you don't deserve that much criticism, and that is just the territory you're living in, man. If you buy a house in Beverly Hills, your house insurance is going to be more expensive than if you bought it in Huntington Park. It's just as simple as that. And so, I'm not so worried about Austin Reaves because when I watch him play, he's still playing his game. Is he getting the calls when he drives to the rim? Not yet. Maybe won't this season. They can't give the Lakers 30 free throws a game. Everybody, they'll be hue and cry across the league. They'll be hue and cry. Greg Popovich his head will explode. That's just.
It'll explode.
So it'll be like scanners. His. Right. And that'll be it. That'll be it for Greg Popovich, and they'll have to find Wemby a new coach, and that'll be sad for everybody. But he plays his game. Is he scoring the way we want him to score? Probably not. Is that going to come around? I think it'll come and go. the ebb and flow. He might still be even. They really didn't play him a lot or run him a lot in preseason. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's kind of still
almost like you brought that subject up on the web and in Lakerholics.com that it's almost like they unplugged him. And
he had that. One of the things that I thought was kind of amazing, and like from a medical standpoint, I get it, but from like a rhythm standpoint, I don't get it.
I know rhythm really counts, man.
Like he was in a groove, and then they were like, "Hey, let's take it easy on that groove, buddy." And then so now he's refining the groove. So I won't be surprised if he has a breakout game here in the next game or three. I really won't. I think if he goes for 25 and 6 and 2 on Sunday, everybody will be like, "Oh, Reaves is back," and that'll be that. It'll be the end of it.
Well, he still had a very efficient game, 4 out of 7, man. I mean,
he played better than Prince. He played better than D'Lo. He's played better than, for the most part, Vincent, who I've kind of been underwhelmed by.
But we are seeing Wood and Reddish really impact the minutes of other players.
I mean, Reddish just, I think, averaging 12 minutes a game, 15 minutes a game. They're playing backup.
Yeah, but Reddish was never in the top 10 players that were going to be in the rotation, man.
No, not based on my preseason.
So you think that 10 or 12 minutes out of there, where does it come from?
Listen, I may be accused of having confirmation bias. I also have no problem saying I was wrong. I didn't see a role for Cam Reddish on the team. I was wrong. He's playing a great backup role on this team.
Well, he looks like he has some two-way potential. Because he's hit his shots and I like his length on defense and
he's scored inside. He's not hitting his shots. He's scored.
It's great that he's bigger, man. I mean, this is the whole idea. I like the size and length that we have.
I wish that's
really important. I think that's really important defensively going forward.
When Vando comes back,
get taller and taller and taller.
When Vando comes back, I can easily see a lineup of LeBron at the point, Reaves at the 2, or Vincent at the 2, depending on whose shot's falling, or even D'Lo at the 2 if he's playing well. Reddish at the 3, Vando at the 4, AD at the 5, and that's a team that's going to get stops. That's a team that's going to get stops and is going to let AD and LeBron play their 2-man game.
I think there's just as good a chance at this point in time that when Vando comes back, he will be the backup shooting guard and Wood will be starting.
I don't see that. And then I know that's I know you're big on that. I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening in any scenario. Mainly because of the guys that Wood is going to have to start guard coming out of the gate. Most teams don't start the bruising lineup. Most teams start a fast lineup.
This lineup is going to be so good that other teams are going to have to adjust to it.
That remains to be seen, but I like your enthusiasm, Tom. I might not share it, but I appreciate the enthusiasm. Listen, he had a great.
We're all just throwing stuff up against the wall, and we'll see what happens when it comes. We all want the Lakers to just do great,
and we want them to win on Sunday.
Jamie,
yeah, for sure, we want them to win on Sunday.
I'm with you. Hats off to Parsons if he's got a nice little podcast there.
Yeah, great job, buddy.
Good for him. You're the most overrated.
You got to mention out of us.
Yeah, one of the most overrated players in NBA history. Great job.
By far, Jamie. He played 10 seasons. He played 10 seasons in the NBA, 440 games.
What's his career averages?
Oh my God.
12, 3, and 2.
Pretty close. Pretty close. 12, 4.5, and less than 3, 2.7. So
there you go. So let's talk about. I would gladly take a 15-5 and 5 guy, Chandler. Thanks for playing.
Oh, and by the way, you never shot 50% over your career, Chandler Parsons.
No, he's an empty calorie player.
Don't talk to us about Austin Reaves, a guy who's a potential 40,
and you know
50.
People just love the fact that Austin's had a bad couple of games.
Yeah, man. Right here, Chandler, right here.
Right. Anyway, you guys, I got to get to cleaning the house here in a few minutes. So.
Okay.
All right. Before we head on out, I want to hear some cheers and jeers. So, cheers for the
Christian
Lakers.
Wood. I think
cheers to coaching adjustments.
Okay. All right. And any jeers in the NBA? Not necessarily.
Jeers?
Oh, jeers?
Jeers.
Oh, man.
Max Christie, what happened to your backup job?
No. Come on, that's not fair. You yourself said he was 20.
He's allowed to have a cheer.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm not taking.
Guys, I've been slandered. I've been
don't-
slandered by so many people.
We don't
just for-
discriminate
Yeah,
against
I know I
you're
love
right,
Nick
Tom. You're right,
Christie, and I
Tom.
think he's going to be
You
a
know what?
great asset.
Tom's
Probably
right.
traded this year.
Tom took a lot of heat this summer from the Max Christie faithful.
Oh, did I ever?
And I'm sure that they're very quiet now.
You know, this is the next Kobe Bryant. Oh, you know, et cetera. You traded Kobe
So
Bryant.
Tom,
on
I
me,
take it
man.
right back, Tom.
geez.
Tom, you go right ahead and say Max Christie. I take
We're
it
going to
back.
trade Kobe Bryant and LeBron James and
any cheer,
Kareem
Jamie?
Abdul-Jabbar and
It doesn't have to be the Lakers. Then Golden State, or I'm sorry, then the Clippers blowing it against Utah last night.
Ooh, yeah, that was blowing it all over
Oh
yourself.
man, blowing it, and the refs gave them every opportunity to win it on Utah's home floor. Like, what?
We shall see them on Wednesday, and hopefully it's just we go savage on them because it's about
now,
time.
if they traded for if they trade for Harden, what is their starting lineup going to be?
Westbrook,
Russell Westbrook,
James Harden,
James Harden,
Paul George, Kawhi Leonard.
Wait a minute, is this the
And
Oklahoma
Mason-
Thunder you're
and-
talking about?
and Tom, they've Ty
They
Lue,
might slide man to the. They
And
might slide Westbrook to the bench.
I think this is it. I think this is the spreadsheet nerds coming down again. Let them know you are doing a great job of pissing off Ivica Zubats.
I hope we get.
Zubats is a better player than Mason Plumlee.
In
No
every
ifs,
conceivable
no
dimension.
ands, no buts.
Yeah, I don't understand Ty Lue's approach this season, but whatever. I don't care either. Frankly, I'm like, yeah, keep blowing it, bro.
We'll see them on Wednesday, and hopefully it's a savage Lakers victory. But do you guys have any thoughts on the game tomorrow? What do we need to do to get a victory in Sacramento, Tom?
I didn't watch the game last night, but the Warriors won on the road against
They
the Kings.
did.
And the Kings are coming into. Is that game at home tomorrow?
Yeah.
No, it's at home,
our home
for
game.
Sacramento.
Oh, it's in Sacramento.
It
So
is.
we're subject
Yeah.
to the beam. We're subject to the beam.
Tom, the Kings started off hot from 3-point land. They were 7 of 14, but eventually they finished 12 of 40. They cooled completely off. So,
You know, if there's a game where it makes imminent sense to start Christian Wood, if there's a team against whom he would feast and where our size would be dominating, it would be, let's see, how about the Sacramento Kings?
we'll see. I mean, with Dom Sabonis and JaVale McGee in the front court, Tom, they've been very active. So,
Yeah,
we're gonna see it's
good
a
luck
good
with JaVale. Is JaVale 50 yet? How old is JaVale, man?
JaVale is 36.
36 and a big man. Okay.
But
I'll take that. I don't think it's going to happen, but
our guards are good.
I tell you, I'll guarantee you one thing. I bet you're going to see those three play together tomorrow.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I'll bet you at least 10 minutes a game.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And if they do anything close to what they did in the fourth quarter, there'll be a lot of pressure to give them a chance to start. I'd love to see that.
I know you would.
Okay, I'll say that. As a coach, I'd probably wait halfway through the year to do it, but
and guys, I used
to have fights with my assistants who wanted to switch people.
I was mentioning on the post game, I would really have Gabe Vincent and Austin Reaves on De'Aaron Fox. I would rather put D'Angelo Russell on Kevin Huerter, who's more of a shooter, Tom, and live with the results of Austin's length on De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron's very quick, water bug. Look, nobody can keep up with De'Aaron
Nobody's
Fox.
keeping up with De'Aaron Fox.
So it's no slight on Austin or anybody else for that matter.
Honestly, that's a game where we're going to miss Vando because you could put Vando on him and his length and quick.
Yeah, it's the same thing. If we play the Suns again and they have the full lineup, that's another game where we need Vando.
Yep.
That's why the guy's got to be given a permanent role that has got meat into it, where he's getting good solid minutes every night.
I mean, he's going to start, but that's fine. For Sunday, I'm saying
when you start him, you play 4 against 5. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean the Warriors.
The Warriors do that.
Yeah, the Warriors didn't have an issue putting.
Well, yeah, but the Warriors got Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, man.
Yeah, Clay's starting to his mileage is starting to show.
The Warriors.
How do miles count when most of your shots don't even take a dribble?
I mean, he's missing them. So
he dribbles the fewest number of miles of any player in the NBA.
Absolutely.
The fewest number of miles.
Want to thank everybody for joining us on the Lakerholics Spotlight this afternoon. Jamie, it was great to have you on.
Thank you.
Tom, as always. We love
we got a referee now, Jamie.
Come on to Lakerholics.com. I know my phone was dying on power, so my drums.
Yeah, Jamie, do you know the Ben Harper song I'm thinking about? Can you do that
really,
on the drum?
I'm not a Ben Harper fan. I'm not gonna lie. I apologize.
Wow, that's a shocker.
I like Ben Harper, but I can't remember any songs.
Given your habit, my habit, that is a very shocking piece of news.
You know what? I have
not a fan of Ben Harper. Wow,
or Jack Johnson. I don't know what it is. Whenever I think of I think of those guys. I think if I'm hitting on like, just out of high school ladies at the beach with a guitar, and I'm just like,
okay. Well, that's not my. I always thought Jack Johnson was trying to get in on the Dave Matthews.
Oh yeah.
Extras.
And he and Ben Harper were friends in Hawaii for a time, I guess, or something like that. That's how he got his start. But anyway, I have nothing against Ben Harper. I just don't own any of his records, and I've never seen him play live. When his music comes on, I'm not like, that's it, I'm turning it off. But I'm not like, hey, all right. I'm like, oh, cool, Ben Harper. There we go. Like, that's where I'm at.
All right. And with that, if you don't like my fire, then don't come around.
Reaves for 50.
I'm gonna burn one down. Lakerholics, thank you very much. And with that, I am your host, Magic Man Sean Grice. This has been the Lakers Fast Break, and we'll hopefully be back tomorrow with a pregame. I will be on pregame before the Sacramento Kings game. Hopefully, I'll send out the link, and maybe Tom and Jamie could join me.
What time's the game at tomorrow?
It is at 6 o'clock your time, 9 o'clock Eastern.
Kind of late then. Okay, for a Sunday game, kind of late. All right, so the last game on Sunday.
And we'll be back for the post game. Appreciate your time, everybody, and go Lakers.